Hey everyone, have you ever thought about how a single word from a central banker or just one line in a company's earnings report can move markets by billions of dollars? Well, today is exactly that kind of day. The US and China just shook hands on a new trade deal. The Federal Reserve is basically flying blind, and tech giants are playing financial roulette. Amazon is soaring, Meta is crashing, and everything in between. So let's break it all down in plain English. Let's jump in. So the US and China just announced a one-year trade agreement. Sounds like a big deal, right? But let's keep it real. It's more like a temporary truce between two tired rivals than a true peace treaty. Imagine two neighbors who've been throwing bricks over the fence for years, and now they've just agreed to stop for 12 months. The US is lifting some restrictions on semiconductors, China's buying more American farm goods, and everyone's pretending to be happy. But the hottest issue, Taiwan and high-tech chips, is still totally off the table. So, yeah, markets might breathe a little easier, but don't get too comfortable. This is just a pause, not a real solution. Now let's talk about the markets, because right now they're basically on a roller coaster. Dow futures slipping, the S&P is wobbling, and the NASDAQ is just plain nervous. Why? Well, it all comes down to one guy, Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed. He basically stepped up and said, hey, we cut interest rates today, but don't go thinking we'll do it again next month. It's like you're waiting for your favorite store to have a big sale and the manager says, maybe we'll have another discount, or maybe not. And now you're just stiff hanging. Markets hate uncertainty, and that's exactly what they've got right now. So yeah, buckle up. All right, now let's dive into the juicy part, the corporate giants. This is where things get really interesting. It's earnings season, and every single report is like a shot fired in a financial battlefield. So here's the rundown. Amazon just crushed it. Their cloud division, AWS, is on fire, and the stock shot up. On the flip side, Meta kind of stumbled. They're pouring billions into AI, and investors are freaking out about the costs, so their stocks took a dive. And then you got Google and Microsoft cruising along with strong results in AI and cloud too. So what's the takeaway? We're living in a time when companies aren't just selling products, they're fighting for the future of tech itself. And the winners? They're the ones who invest smart, not just burn cash, hoping something sticks. All right, now let's talk about the Fed and this whole driving in the fog situation. Jerome Powell himself said it. The Fed is basically trying to steer the economy without a clear view of the road. Imagine you're driving at night in big fog and everyone's expecting you to know exactly where you're going. That's the Fed right now. Why? Because with the government shutdown messing up data collection, the Fed doesn't really know if the economy's running too hot or too cold. They're making decisions kind of like guessing in the dark, and that means uncertainty for everyone. Over in Europe, the ECB is watching and might have to jump in if inflation doesn't cool off. So yeah, it's a bit of a guessing game right now, and that's got the markets on edge. So what does all this mean for investors like you and me? Let's put the pieces together. We've got a trade truce that's more like a temporary pause than a real peace. We've got a Fed that's basically saying, hey, we cut rates, but we're not promising anything else. And we got big tech companies either soaring or stumbling, depending on how they handle their AI and cloud investments. The bottom line, we're in for some volatility. But hey, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Volatility can mean opportunity if you're prepared. So my advice, don't jump into stocks just because of FOMO. Keep your portfolio balanced, a bit of tech, a bit of safe haven assets like gold or bonds, and definitely keep an eye on the AI space because that's the fuel of the future. In short, be ready for a bumpy ride, but remember, with the right strategy, you can turn uncertainty into your advantage. So there you have it. One trade deal, one earnings report from Amazon, and one speech from Jerome Powell, and suddenly the markets are spinning like a Netflix drama. But here's the fun part. This isn't just about Wall Street. It's about how all these big moves ripple out to affect all of us and what we do with our money. So let me ask you, if you had to pick today, would you bet on Amazon riding high or take a chance on Meta for a potential comeback? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And of course, if you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe. We're all about making finance simple, relatable, and maybe even a little fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.